Episode 5. A Different Kind of Blade. Saturday morning arrived with the kind of gentle sunshine that made Jade want to stay in bed forever, preferably with Victor's cool body wrapped around hers, which was exactly the situation she currently found herself in. She'd woken up twice during the night, once to find Victor tracing patterns on her bare shoulder with his fingertips, watching her sleep with that intense focus of his, and once to find herself alone in bed before he returned from the kitchen with a glass of water for her, anticipating her needs before she even knew she had them. 800 years of existence apparently made you very good at caretaking. Now, in the early morning light, she was draped across his chest like a very satisfied blanket, listening to the absence of a heartbeat that should have been creepy, but somehow wasn't. "You're thinking very loudly," Victor murmured, his hand stroking through her curly, red hair. "I can feel it through our bond." "I'm thinking about how weird this is. The good kind of weird, but still weird. I'm cuddling with a vampire who doesn't have a heartbeat, and it feels completely normal. I do have a heart. It simply does not beat as yours does. It moves blood through my system at a much slower rate, just enough to sustain my existence." Jade propped herself up on one elbow to look at him. "So you're not technically dead?" "Undead is the more accurate term. I exist in a state between life and death. Neither fully one nor the other." He tucked her tail behind her ear. "Does this trouble you?" "Honestly, I'm past the point of being troubled by anything about you. You could tell me you're secretly 3 raccoons in a trench coat, and I'd just ask if they all liked grilled cheese." Victor's mouth twitched into an almost smile. "I assure you, I am not raccoons." "Good to know. That would make last night really awkward." "Indeed it would." They lay in comfortable silence for a moment before Jade's phone buzzed on her nightstand. She groaned and reached for it, squinting at the screen. "A text from her mom, working another double, won't be home until tomorrow morning. There's money on the counter for food. Make sure Victor eats something. Love you." Jade showed Victor the text. "My mom is officially more worried about you than me. I think you've charmed her." "I have done nothing but exist politely in her home." "Yeah, well, you exist politely in a way that makes middle-aged nurses want to feed you. It's a gift." Jade scrolled through her other messages. 3 more from Melissa demanding details about last night, 2 from her study group about the postponed bio exam, and 1 from her dad asking if she wanted to have dinner next week. "Your life is very full," Victor observed, clearly reading the messages over her shoulder with his vampire vision. "Many people demand your attention." "That's what happens when you have friends and family. They actually want to spend time with you. Revolutionary concept, I know. In my time, relationships were largely transactional. Alliances, political marriages, strategic friendships. The idea of spending time with someone simply because you enjoy their company was reserved for the very privileged." "That sounds incredibly lonely." "It was, but I did not realize it at the time. Loneliness requires the knowledge that something else is possible. I simply thought that was how existence functioned." His arms tightened around her slightly. "You have shown me differently." Jade felt her chest tighten with emotion. How was he so good at saying things that completely undid her? She kissed him softly, tasting the lingering sweetness from the apple he'd eaten yesterday, a miracle in itself that still amazed her. "So we have the house to ourselves until tomorrow morning," she said when they broke apart. "What do you want to do? More education in Modern Wonders? Netflix binge? I could teach you to play video games, though I feel like your warrior instincts might make you really good at Call of Duty." "I would like to learn more about you," Victor said. "Yesterday, I shared parts of my past. My daughter, my failures. But I realized I know very little about your life beyond the surface. Your dreams, your fears, the experiences that shape you into the remarkable woman you are. My life is pretty boring compared to yours. I haven't ruled any kingdoms or fought any wars. Yet you have survived 20 years in a complicated world, maintained relationships, pursued education despite financial hardship, and found joy in simple things like music and terrible television. That is not boring. That is resilient." Jade felt her face heat. "You really need to stop saying nice things about me. I'm going to develop an ego." "Impossible. You're far too self-deprecating for ego development." Victor sat up, carefully keeping the sheet wrapped around her. "Show me something. Anything. A hobby, a skill, something that brings you joy that I've not yet witnessed." An idea struck Jade, equal parts exciting and terrifying. There was something she loved, something she was actually really good at, but she'd never shown anyone except Melissa. It was her private thing, her escape, her way of feeling powerful in a world that often made her feel small. "Okay," she said slowly, "but you have to promise not to laugh." Victor's expression became serious. "I swear on my honor, I will not mock whatever you choose to share with me." "Your honor. That's very medieval of you." "I am very medieval." "Fair point." Jade took a breath. "Get dressed. I need to show you something in the basement." "20 minutes later, Jade led Victor down the basement stairs, her heart pounding with a mix of nervousness and excitement. She changed into leggings and a sports bra, her curly hair pulled back in a ponytail. Victor wore his now standard dark jeans and black t-shirt, looking unfairly attractive for someone who'd existed for 8 centuries. The basement was partially finished. Carpet on half of it, concrete on the other half, where her mum stored holiday decorations and random household items. But there was one corner that was distinctly Jade's territory. A full-length mirror, a yoga mat, and a long black case that Victor eyed with interest. "Is that a weapon?" he asked. "Sort of. It's a replica, not a real weapon. But yes." Jade knelt beside the case and opened it with reverent care. Inside, nestled in foam, was her pride and joy. A high-quality lightsaber replica, custom-built, with a brilliant blue blade. She'd saved for 6 months to buy it, worked extra shifts at Applebee's, skipped countless social events. It was the single most expensive thing she owned, besides her car. Victor's eyes widened. "Is that from Star Wars?" "You know Star Wars?" I have been educating myself on your popular culture through your electronic devices. I watched several of the films yesterday while you slept. The world building is remarkable, though I found the political plot lines somewhat convoluted. Jade laughed in delight. Oh my god, you watched Star Wars. What did you think? The Jedi are fascinating. Warriors bound by a code of honor, dedicated to peacekeeping. I found their philosophy somewhat naive, but their combat skills are impressive. And the Sith, he paused thoughtfully. They remind me of certain vampires I have known. Power-hungry, consumed by their emotions, ultimately self-destructive. That's actually a pretty good analysis. Most people just focus on the lightsabers and space battles. The lightsabers are admittedly captivating. The concept of a blade made of pure energy, requiring skill and training to wield properly, it appeals to my warrior sensibilities. He looked at the replica in the case with new interest. And you own one. I own one. And I've been training with it for 3 years. Jade lifted the saber from the case, feeling its familiar weight in her hand. There's a whole community of people who do this. Lightsaber combat choreography, performances, competitions. It's part martial arts, part dance, part pure geekery. I started learning from YouTube videos and then found a local group that meets twice a month. Victor's expression had shifted to something Jade couldn't quite read. Interest, definitely, but something more, something almost hungry. Show me, he said. Just remember, you promised not to laugh. I will not laugh. I suspect I will be far too busy being impressed. Jade took a deep breath and activated the saber. The blue blade hummed to life, casting azure light across the basement. She'd installed a sound system down here specifically for practice, and she pulled up her training playlist on her phone. Epic orchestral music, mostly film scores, the kind of music that made you feel like you could fight armies. The opening notes of Duel of the Fates filled the basement, and Jade began. She'd practiced this routine hundreds of times. It was a combination of actual lightsaber combat techniques and her own choreography, incorporating elements of different martial arts styles she'd studied online. Spins, strikes, defensive parries, offensive combinations. She moved through the forms with practiced precision, the saber humming through the air, her body flowing from one position to the next. She was good. She knew she was good. She'd placed third in a regional competition last year, beaten by people with way more experience. Her form was clean, her strikes powerful, her footwork solid. This was the one area of her life where she felt genuinely skilled, genuinely competent. The routine built to its climax, a complex series of spinning attacks that required perfect timing and balance. Jade executed them flawlessly, ending in a final defensive stance. The blue blade held steady, her breathing controlled despite her exertion. The music faded. Jade deactivated the saber and turned to face Victor, prepared for anything from polite applause to barely concealed amusement. What she got was something else entirely. Victor was staring at her with an expression of pure hunger. Not sexual, though there was definitely some of that mixed in. This was the hunger of a warrior recognizing another warrior. The look of someone who'd found something unexpected and valuable. That was extraordinary, he said, his voice rougher than usual. Really? You're not just saying that? Jade, I have trained warriors for centuries. I have observed master swordsmen across multiple eras. What you just demonstrated was genuine skill. Your form is excellent, your balance is nearly perfect, your strikes, while lacking the power of a trained soldier, are precise and controlled. He moved closer, his eyes intense. How long did you say you have been training? 3 years. Just 3 years. 3 years. And you achieved that level of competency. That is remarkable. With proper training, with a real blade and true instruction, you would be formidable.
Jade felt her face flush with pleasure. I'm pretty good for an amateur. You are exceptional. The discipline required to reach this skill level, the countless hours of practice, the dedication. Victor shook his head slowly. I am in awe, little flame. Now you're just trying to make me blush. I speak only truth. You asked what I found attractive about you. The answer becomes clearer. You are fierce. You do not accept weakness in yourself. You train and improve and push yourself to excellence in something that brings you joy. His hand came up to her face, tilting her chin up to meet his eyes. You are a warrior, Jade. Perhaps not in the traditional sense, but a warrior nonetheless. It's just lightsaber choreography. It's not like I'm fighting actual battles. Is it not? You told me this training makes you feel powerful. That suggests you were seeking power because you felt you lacked it. You armed yourself with skill and discipline because the world made you feel small. That is exactly what a warrior does. We find our strength where we can and cultivate it until it becomes armor against the things that would diminish us. Jade felt tears prick her eyes. How did he see so clearly into the heart of why she did this? She'd never articulated it, even to herself, but he was right. She'd started training because she felt powerless, small, overlooked. The lightsaber had given her a way to feel capable, strong, like she could defend herself, even if it was all just pretend. I want to see more, Victor said. May I? More? I just did my full routine. Show me specific forms. Defense, offense, different styles. I wish to understand the full scope of your training. So Jade did. For the next hour, she demonstrated everything she learned. The 7 classic lightsaber forms from Star Wars lore that the community had adapted into real choreography. Form I, the simplest, focusing on basic strikes and parries. Form 2, elegant and precise, designed for dueling. Form V, her favorite, aggressive and powerful. Victor watched everything with rapt attention, occasionally asking her to repeat a movement or slow down so he could study her technique. His questions were insightful, coming from centuries of actual combat experience. He pointed out where her real-world technique was strong, where the theatrical elements compromised practical effectiveness, where she could improve. Your spinning attacks are beautiful, but tactically unsound, he observed. In actual combat, turning your back on an opponent, even briefly, is an invitation to be struck down. Yeah, but it looks cool. It does look cool. However, if you modify the spin to keep your blade in a defensive position throughout the rotation, like this, Victor moved through the motion himself, his body flowing with predatory grace, demonstrating a combat spin that kept an imaginary blade positioned to deflect attacks throughout the movement. Jade watched in fascination. How are you good at this? You haven't even held the saber. The weapon changes, but the principles remain constant. Balance, leverage, spatial awareness, threat assessment. I have wielded swords for 800 years, Jade. The specific form the blade takes is less important than understanding how to move with it. What? Okay, that's hot. You being all warrior teacher is extremely hot. Victor's mouth curved into a rare, genuine smile. And you being a dedicated student of combat is equally appealing. May I try? Jade hesitated. Her lightsaber was her baby. She didn't let anyone else handle it. But this was Victor, and the chance to see an actual master swordsman wield it, even in replica form, was too tempting to resist. Okay, but be careful. This thing cost me 6 months of tips. She handed him the saber, and Victor activated it with easy familiarity. The blue blade hummed to life, and he held it up, testing its weight and balance. Lighter than a real blade, he observed. The balance is different, but not unpleasant. He moved through a basic series of strikes, experimental, learning the weapon. Then something shifted. His movements became more fluid, more precise, and suddenly Jade wasn't watching someone test a toy. She was watching a warrior in his element. Victor moved through the basement space with lethal grace, the lightsaber whistling through the air in patterns that were beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. No wasted movement, no theatrical flourishes, just pure, efficient, deadly technique. This was how a master swordsman actually fought. Not for show, but for survival. He executed a complex series of attacks that transitioned seamlessly into defensive positions, moving like water, the blade always exactly where it needed to be. Then he stopped, spun the saber once with a casual flourish that should have looked silly, but instead looked effortlessly cool, and deactivated it. Your weapon is well made, he said, handing it back to her. Thank you for allowing me to try it. Jade took the saber with shaking hands. That was the most impressive thing I've ever seen. You made 3 years of my training look like kindergarten. Your training is excellent. I have simply had more practice, considerably more. Victor tilted his head. I could teach you, if you wished. Real combat technique, adapted for your modern choreography. We could train together. You want to train with me? Very much. I have not had a proper sparring partner in centuries, and while I cannot use my full strength against you, the opportunity to practice technique, to pass on my knowledge to someone who would appreciate it. He paused, something vulnerable crossing his face. I would enjoy that, if you would permit it. Jade felt like her heart might explode. Yes, God, yes, that would be amazing. But I don't have a weapon for you. I can't afford a second saber right now. What about a real sword? I don't own a real sword. Who owns real swords? Victor looked almost sheepish. I do. Remember my armor that you stored in your closet? My sword was with it. A proper longsword, well balanced, excellent steel for its era. I could use that. You want to train me in lightsaber combat using a medieval longsword? The principles are the same. Blade work is blade work, regardless of the specific weapon. If anything, training against a real sword will improve your awareness of distance and timing. You'll have to be more careful about where your blade is positioned. Or I could lose a finger. I would never allow that to happen. I will control my strikes perfectly. You have my word. Jade considered this, training with Victor, learning real combat technique from an 800-year-old master swordsman, while also incorporating her lightsaber choreography. It was like her childhood fantasies and her adult hobby had collided in the best possible way. Okay, let's do it, but we start slow. I don't want to accidentally hurt you. Victor laughed, a genuine sound of delight. You're concerned about hurting me, Jade? I have survived battles with werewolves and rival vampire covens. I believe I can manage training with a young woman and her energy sword. Energy sword. You did not just call my lightsaber an energy sword. Is that not what it is? It's a lightsaber. The terminology matters.
My apologies. I will endeavor to use the correct terminology for your luminous blade weapon. You're messing with me. You know the correct term? I enjoy watching you become passionate about your interests. Your eyes light up. You become animated. It is quite lovely. Jade pointed the deactivated saber at him. Flooding will not save you from proper Star Wars terminology. Say it. Lightsaber. Lightsaber, Victor repeated dutifully, his eyes dancing with amusement. Good. Now go get your medieval death stick, and let's see how long I last before you accidentally decapitate me. I promise I will not decapitate you. I have grown quite fond of your head, exactly where it is. "20 minutes later, they faced each other in the basement's open area. Jade in her training clothes with her blue lightsaber humming, Victor in jeans and a t-shirt, his medieval longsword held with casual competence. The sword was beautiful in a brutal way. Plain steel, no ornamentation, designed for function rather than display, a weapon that had seen actual combat, if the small nicks in the blade were any indication. First rule, Victor said, his tone shifting to something more authoritative. In any combat, the most important skill is awareness. Not strength, not speed, but awareness. You must know where your opponent is, where their blade is, where they intend to strike. Everything else flows from that foundation. Okay, awareness. Got it. Second rule, never overcommit to an attack. Each strike should flow naturally into a defensive position. Attacking and defending are not separate actions, but part of a continuous cycle. Like water. Precisely. You flow from one position to another, never locked in place, always moving. Victor shifted into a ready stance, his sword held in a position that looked casual, but somehow suggested coiled danger. Now, attack me, any form you wish. I will defend, and we will see where your instincts lead you. Jade activated her lightsaber and took a breath. She was about to spar with Victor. This was either the coolest thing she'd ever done, or the stupidest. She decided on a simple overhead strike, Formai, basic and clean. Victor parried it easily with his longsword, the steel blade meeting her lightsaber with a satisfying clash that was mostly dramatic sound effect from the saber's speakers, but still felt authentic. Good, Victor said. Now follow with a side strike. Jade did, and he deflected that too, his movements minimal and efficient. They moved through a simple pattern, Jade attacking, Victor defending, his corrections gentle but constant. Your grip is too tight. Relax your hands, let the blade move naturally. Your stance is too wide. Narrow it slightly. You want to be able to move quickly in any direction. Good. Now when you recover from that strike, rotate your body. Use your core, not just your arms. They progress slowly, building complexity. Victor would defend, then make a slow counterattack that Jade would have to block. His control was perfect. The blade never came closer than a few inches from her body, but the threat felt real enough to trigger genuine defensive instincts. You hesitate before committing to your parry, Victor observed. You see my attack, you know where it will land, but you wait a fraction too long to respond. Trust your instincts. Your body knows what to do. Let it act. They went again, and this time when Victor struck, Jade didn't think. She just moved. Her lightsaber came up, deflecting his blade, and she immediately followed with a counterstrike that Victor casually sidestepped. Better. Much better. You're beginning to trust yourself. They trained for over an hour, Jade's muscles burning with exhaustion, sweat dripping down her face. Victor remained perfectly composed, not even breathing hard, his 800 years of experience making this light exercise rather than real effort. But he was patient, encouraging. Every correction came with praise for what she was doing right. Every mistake was treated as a learning opportunity rather than a failure. He was a good teacher, Jade realized. Not just skilled, but genuinely invested in helping her improve. Again, Victor said, after Jade completed a particularly complex combination. That was nearly perfect, but you drop your guard slightly on the final rotation. Maintain your defensive position throughout the movement. Jade groaned, my arms are gonna fall off. Rest then. You have done well. Better than well. You are a quick study. Jade deactivated her saber and collapsed on the yoga mat, her chest heaving. Victor set down his sword and sat beside her, not even slightly winded. How are you not tired? She demanded. Vampiric endurance. I could continue for hours without fatigue. Days if necessary. That's completely unfair.
It is one of the few advantages to being undead. Victor pulled her against his side, and Jade leaned into his coolness gratefully. You did exceptionally well. Your technique improved noticeably just in this one session. With regular practice, you will become quite formidable. You really think so? I know so. You have natural talent, Jade, and more importantly, you have discipline. That combination is rare. Most warriors have one or the other, but seldom both. Jade felt a swell of pride. Thank you for teaching me, for taking me seriously. A lot of people think lightsaber stuff is just kids playing around. Those people have never truly understood what it means to be a warrior. Combat is not merely about war or violence. It is about discipline, self-improvement, pushing yourself beyond your perceived limitations. You do that every time you train. That is worthy of respect, regardless of whether your weapon is a real blade or a replica from a science fiction film. You get it. I knew you would get it. Victor was quiet for a moment, his hand stroking through her sweaty hair. I told you yesterday that I do not know what will happen with us, with my presence in this world. But I find myself hoping I remain here with you. Not because of the sunlight or the ability to taste food, though those are miraculous gifts, but because you make me want to be more than what I was. You see a better version of me than I have seen in centuries. I just see you, the real you. Perhaps that is the same thing. They sat together in comfortable silence, Jade's exhaustion gradually fading. She felt good. Sore, sweaty, tired, but genuinely good. Happy in a way she hadn't been in a long time. We should shower, Victor said eventually. You are perspiring impressively. Wow, romance is dead. You really know how to compliment a lady. Would you prefer I say you glisten like a goddess? I would prefer you say nothing about my sweat situation and help me upstairs because my legs are basically jelly. Victor laughed and stood, pulling Jade to her feet with easy strength. Come, I will assist you to the bathing room. The bathroom. It's called a bathroom. I prefer bathing room. It is more descriptive. You're ridiculous. I am adaptable. They made it upstairs, Jade leaning heavily on Victor, her muscles protesting every step. He started the shower for her, getting the temperature perfect, and Jade expected him to leave. Instead, he began removing his own clothes. What are you doing? She asked. Joining you. You're unsteady on your feet. I would not have you slip and injure yourself. That's your excuse? Safety? It is a valid concern. And it has nothing to do with wanting to see me naked again? Victor paused, his t-shirt half off, and gave her a look of such pure masculine appreciation that Jade felt her exhaustion evaporate, replaced by a very different kind of energy. I have multiple motivations, he admitted. Get in the shower, you 800-year-old pervert. I'm not a pervert, I'm an admirer of beauty. Same thing in this context. The shower was large enough for both of them, barely. Jade let the hot water pound against her sore muscles, while Victor stood behind her, his hands coming up to massage her shoulders with surprising gentleness. You will be sore tomorrow, he said. Your muscles are not accustomed to this type of training. Worth it. That was the most fun I've had in forever. We can continue tomorrow. Daily training will help build your strength and endurance. Daily training? You're really committed to this teacher role, aren't you? Victor's hands moved down her back, working out tension with skilled precision. I am committed to you. If training together brings you joy and allows me to share my knowledge, then yes, I am very committed. Jade turned to face him, water streaming between them. His dark hair was plastered to his head, making his features look even sharper while striking. Those ice blue eyes watched her with an intensity that made her breath catch. You're beautiful, she said without thinking. I am not beautiful. I'm functional. You're beautiful. Like a statue, cold and perfect and completely unfair to everyone else who has to exist in the same space as you. Victor's mouth curved into a smile. You find me attractive even when wet and disheveled. I find you attractive basically always. It's becoming a problem. I fail to see the problem. The problem is, I have things to do. School, work, normal life things. And all I want to do is stay in this house and either train with you, or have sex with you, or listen to music with you. You're extremely distracting. I could say the same about you. Victor's hands moved to her hips, pulling her closer. You have disrupted my entire existence, Jade. I was meant to slumber for 200 years. Instead, I'm here in a strange world, obsessed with a young woman who fights with light swords and makes me feel things I thought long buried. Lightsabers. We've been over this. Lightsabers, he corrected with exaggerated patience. My point stands. You are a disruption. A beautiful, maddening, wonderful disruption. Jade reached up to kiss him, tasting water and something uniquely Victor. The kiss deepened quickly, their bodies pressing together under the spray, exhaustion forgotten in the face of want. Victor's hands moved over her with increasing urgency, and Jade responded in kind, touching and exploring and claiming. They'd done this last night, but somehow it felt different now. Less desperate, more intentional, like they were learning each other, discovering what brought pleasure, what drew those small sounds of need. Bedroom, Jade gasped when Victor's mouth moved to her neck. We're wasting water, and I'd rather do this somewhere with more space. Victor didn't argue. He turned off the shower, grabbed towels for both of them, and before Jade could protest, lifted her into his arms.
I can walk, she said. I am aware, but this is faster and allows me to demonstrate my considerable strength. Your considerable strength was already demonstrated when you took out 3 guys at a bar with minimal effort. Perhaps I enjoyed demonstrating it repeatedly. He carried her to the bedroom, laid her on the bed with surprising gentleness, and followed her down. The afternoon sunlight streamed through windows, casting golden light across them both. A vampire in sunlight. Still a miracle she'd given him, still something that made her heart swell with impossible emotion. What are you thinking? Victor asked, brushing damp curls from her face. That this is real. That you're real. That somehow my ridiculous fantasy became my actual life, and I'm terrified I'm going to wake up and you'll be gone. I'm not going anywhere. Not without you. Not willingly. He kissed her softly. You are stuck with me, little flame, for as long as you will have me. Forever, then. Forever is a very long time. Good thing you're immortal. Victor's expression became serious. Jade, we must discuss that. What forever means for us. What it could mean. Later. We can discuss serious things later. Right now, I want you. Just you. Is that okay? Victor searched her face, then nodded. Yes, that is very okay. They came together, again, slower this time, learning each other's rhythms. Jade discovered that Victor was ticklish along his ribs, a surprise that made him actually laugh, a sound of pure delight. Victor discovered that Jade made a particular sound, almost a purr, when he kissed her in exactly the right spot on her neck. They traded these discoveries like gifts, building a vocabulary of pleasure that was uniquely theirs. And when they finally joined, when Victor entered her with careful reverence, Jade felt that mental connection flare bright. She could feel him again, his pleasure and his deep satisfaction, but also something more, contentment, peace, like he finally found a place he belonged. I feel it too, she whispered. The connection. You're happy. More than happy. Complete. Victor's movements were slow, controlled, drawing out the pleasure until Jade thought she might go mad from it. You complete me, Jade. I did not know I was incomplete until I found you. That's really romantic for someone currently inside me. I am capable of romance and carnality simultaneously. 800 years of practice. Less talking, more, oh god, yes, that. Victor had found a particular angle that made stars explode behind Jade's eyes. He exploited it ruthlessly, driving her higher and higher until she was begging, pleading, her fingers digging into his shoulders. Please, she gasped. Victor, please. Please what? You know what? Don't make me say it. I want to hear you say it. Tell me what you need. I need you to make me come. Now. Please now. Victor's hand moved between them, finding that perfect spot, and combined with his movements, it was too much. Jade shouted, crying out his name, her body clenching around him. She felt him follow moments later, felt his release through their connection, the mutual pleasure amplifying until neither of them could tell where one ended and the other began. They collapsed together, breathing hard, tangled in sheets at each other. Jade felt tears on her cheeks again, and wasn't even embarrassed anymore. Sex with Victor was apparently an emotional experience. She was just gonna have to accept that. You're crying again, Victor said softly, wiping her tears with his thumb. Happy crying. It's a thing. I'm familiar with the concept. I simply worry I'm overwhelming you. You are. But in the best way. Jade snuggled against his chest, listening to the silence where a heartbeat should be. How are you real? How is any of this real? I ask myself the same question, but I have stopped seeking answers. I am simply grateful. They lay together as the afternoon sun moved across the room, talking quietly about nothing important. Victor told her stories from his youth, learning to ride horses, his first sword lesson, the time he accidentally set fire to his father's stable and blamed it on his younger brother. Jade told him about growing up in Maryland, her parents' divorce, the time she and Melissa got drunk on stolen wine and tried to pierce each other's ears with a sewing needle. That sounds medically unsound, Victor observed. It was extremely medically unsound. My mom, the nurse, almost had a heart attack when she found out. The lecture lasted 2 hours. Your mother cares deeply for you. She does. She drives me crazy, but she cares. I'm lucky that way. Victor was quiet for a moment. I hope to meet her properly someday, to have her blessing. Blessing for what? For courting her daughter. It is traditional to seek a parent's approval. Victor, we're way past courting. We've had sex twice in the last 24 hours. I think we skipped some steps. Perhaps, but the sentiment remains. Your mother's opinion matters to you, therefore it matters to me. Jade propped herself up to look at him. You really want to do this properly? Medieval courtship in the modern age? I want to honor you, and honoring you means respecting the people and customs important to you. His hand cupped her face. I know this is happening very quickly. We have known each other mere days. But Jade, I feel as though I've been waiting centuries to find you. As though every moment of my long existence was leading me to your room, to your blood, to you. That's the most romantic thing anyone has ever said to me, and we're both naked, which makes it somehow more romantic. I'm always more eloquent when I'm clothed. It is a gift. Jade laughed and kissed him. I'm keeping you, just so you know. You're mine now. No takebacks. I would not dream of taking back. You're stuck with me, little flame. Good. They eventually got up, got dressed, and spent the rest of the evening in domestic bliss. Victor attempted to cook dinner, an adventure that resulted in slightly burnt chicken and overcooked vegetables, but was made with such earnest effort that Jade ate every bite and declared it delicious. You are a terrible liar, Victor said, looking at his culinary disaster. I'm an excellent girlfriend who appreciates the effort. Girlfriend. Is that what you are? What else would I be? Your human blood source? Your tour guide to the modern world? My heart, Victor said simply. You are my heart. And there went Jade's composure again, tears, happy and overwhelming, streaming down her face while Victor pulled her close and held her like she was the most precious thing in his world. You can't just say things like that, she protested into his chest. Why not? It is true. Because I'm going to spend our entire relationship crying. I find I do not mind your tears. They speak to the depth of your feeling. In my time, people guarded their emotions carefully. You wear yours openly. It is refreshing. It's embarrassing. It is beautiful. They settled on the couch for another evening of music and talking. Jade added more songs to her sweet feeling playlist, while Victor offered commentary on each one, his taste becoming more defined. He loved anything with strong vocals and meaningful lyrics. He tolerated pop, but preferred rock. He was deeply moved by blues and soul music, the raw emotion resonating with something in him. When At Last by Etta James came on, Victor went very still. "This one," he said quietly, "this one is perfect." They listened together, Etta's powerful voice singing about love finally found, about lonely days being over. Jade felt Victor's arm tighten around her, felt the emotion radiating through their bond. "Dance with me," he said when the song ended. "What?" "Dance with me, properly. I wish to hold you while this music plays." "Victor, I don't know how to dance to this kind of music." "I will teach you. It is simple. You merely move together, allowing the music to guide you." He stood and pulled her to her feet, then restarted the song. His hand went to her waist, the other taking her hand in his, and he began to move in a slow, swaying rhythm that Jade could actually follow. "See?" Victor said softly. "Simple. You're a good dancer. You're a good dancer." "I attended many balls in my youth. Before my turning, dancing was a required skill for nobility."
They swayed together in her living room, Etta James singing about love at last, and Jade felt something settle in her chest. Peace, certainty, the knowledge that whatever happened next, whatever complications arose, this moment was real and right and hers. "I love you," she said without planning to. Victor's steps faltered. "Jade, I know it's too soon. I know we barely know each other. I know there are a million reasons I shouldn't say it, but it's true. I love you. I have since I was 15, even if it was just the idea of you then. And now it's the reality of you, the man who teaches me sword fighting and burns dinner and dances with me to Etta James. I love you." Victor stopped moving entirely. He looked down at her with such intensity that Jade almost took the words back. But then his expression crumbled. 800 years of walls collapsing all at once. "I love you as well," he said, his voice breaking. "I have loved you since the moment you gave me your blood and asked for nothing in return. Since you looked at a monster and saw a man. Since you played me music and showed me joy, I thought I had lost forever. I love you, Jade Alexandra Anderson, completely, utterly, eternally, eternally." They kissed, tears mixing on both their faces now, the music swelling around them. And Jade thought that maybe, just maybe, fairy tales could happen. Even for a 20-year-old girl from Maryland and an 800-year-old vampire from another world. They'd found each other. Against all odds, across impossible distances, they'd found each other. And that was magic enough. End of episode 5.